48, chasing the lights. Both had battles that brought them low, but they found a way to steal the show. Health concerns were weighing them down till they found a path that turned it around. Carnivore diet, they took the lead, finding strength in the promises they keep. Now they're living wild, living free, healing body and mind, just wait and see. Tune into the truth every single week. Real talk with Brian and Johnny, that's the peak. 8 p.m. on YouTube, gather near, uplifting vibes, let's give a cheer.
All right, we are live. Johnny, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Brian. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing really good, So, as everybody comes in, say hello in the chat. We've got a couple people coming in already. We got Rick out there. Hello, Rick.
Rick.
Got Papa Carnivore, and he loves our intro music. So that's great to hear.
Yep.
Okay, so the topic tonight is talking about carnivore diet myths and debunking those misconceptions, that kind of stuff. So we'll get started into that here in a little bit. Before we get to that, we got one question here that I'll let you answer this because you're the one that worked on this, but question is, who recorded the music?
That is actually an artificial intelligence or AI music. There's an app that I use. It's called Songer, Songer. You go on there and just type a few words of what you want. Then you tell it if you want it rock or pop or rap or country or whatever. Put in 3 or 4 different types of music that you want or different genres. You can mix and match them up to 5, I believe. Hit go, in about a minute it gives you a song. So it's really cool. I mean, it's sad that there's not a writer and a lyricist and a piano player and a guitar player and a drummer, but it's pretty cool. And it's cost me about $1. I think $1.10 to make that song. So money well spent. And if you watch any of my videos, Peter, you'll see that I have a lot of those AI songs in the background of my exercises on my video. I hate that it's AI, but AI I think is going to be a part of our lives, whether we like it or not. And so, yeah, that's not a song that Brian and I came up with. We just used AI, and AI spit that out, and I sent it to Brian, and he put it on the intro there.
Yep. All right. So Rick's already chiming in about our topic with myths. Myth number 1: carnivore will give you a heart attack. I think, obviously, I know Rick's the guy with the carnivore heart attack diet, that type of thing. But I think that's probably one of the biggest ones that people think of out there, right? They're like, I'm not even going to try the carnivore diet because of that. Now, I want to bring something up with this thought. When I was doing some research just to kind of get some ideas of what was out there as some of the biggest misconceptions, I used ChatGPT, and I just put something in there to give me some of the biggest misconceptions or the biggest myths about the carnivore diet. And interestingly enough, one of the misconceptions they gave me says eating only meat will destroy your heart and raise cholesterol dangerously. Then ChatGPT goes on to say, recent research has challenged the cholesterol heart disease connection. On a carnivore diet, many people see improved triglyceride to HDL ratios, reduced inflammation, and stabilized blood sugar. While LDL may rise in some, it's not necessarily harmful in the absence of inflammation and insulin resistance. That's directly from ChatGPT. Now, Johnny and I were just talking about this before we came live. It's funny because, there's a lot of misconceptions out there. There's a lot of people basically lying about things. We know about how going way back to, what was that, the 60s, I think, when they came out with the information about studies that said that LDL was bad for you, that kind of stuff. ChatGPT, though, is basically just going to tell it how it is. So if you ask, for instance, is a carnivore diet bad for you, blah, blah, you know, whatever you put in there, it's going to input what it's been programmed to. But for the most part, you're going to find that it's going to kind of debunk some of those common myths. So I thought that was pretty interesting, pretty cool how that was in there. Let's see.
Brian, let me talk on that for just a second.
Yeah,
Let's
go ahead.
look at it. Rick and I are about the same age. Rick, if I'm not mistaken, I think I'm a little less than a year older than you. So Rick is a late 70s American male. He's been eating a carnivore diet for 41 years. He lives in the South. He works outside. I mean, if there's ever the poster child for somebody who should have already had a heart attack based on the myth that the carnivore diet will give you a heart attack, Rick should have had 10 heart attacks by now. But if you watch Rick's video when Brian and I were just talking about this, Rick gets on that darn bicycle and can ride 10 miles, talk on his camera the entire time, and never get short of breath. I dare you to find me a 57-year-old non-carnivore, standard American diet, or vegan or vegetarian that can do what Rick can do. And Rick's been doing this for 41 years. So Rick is, in my opinion, he's the poster child. If what people are saying, that myth that it'll give you a heart attack, is true, Rick would have been dead years ago. But Rick is one of the healthiest, most energetic. He's everything that most of us late 50 guys should try to be. He's athletic. He's strong. He's thin. He's healthy. He's got his heart capacity. His lung capacity is off the charts. So Rick is our debunk. He's how we debunk the heart problem myth. People that have heart problems that eat meat also eat bread and mayonnaise and seed oils and French fries and all that crap. Rick eliminates all that. He just eats meat, and look at him. He is exactly the prototype that all 57, 58-year-old men should be. So Rick, there's my plug for you, buddy. But you have actually debunked that myth for us, and for that we are grateful.
Yep. That I gotta say that it almost sounded like Rick paid you to say that, but that's okay. That is 100% true. That was great. A great. I can't think of the right word. There you go. Synopsis. Yep. Yeah. And it's true. Like, I've interviewed Rick, you know, and we went over his story and everything, and he's just amazing. Like, you should see like some of the flexibility he has and everything at his age. People in their 30s can't do.
Right.
It's amazing. Let me catch us up on a couple of comments here. Thought this was interesting. I was with my mom at the cardiac surgical center this morning. She had an angiogram, but luckily didn't need a stent. But the man in the bay next to her had 100% blockage in one artery. He's going to need a heart bypass surgery. I'm sure he has eaten this sad diet his whole life. He's okay. In his late 70s or early 80s, I think. Yeah.
Well, prayers for that guy, and thank God your mom didn't have to have the surgery. But I believe, just to pigtail on what we're just talking about, raise your hand if you think Rick, when he's 70 or 80, is going to need heart surgery. Nobody? Bueller?
My hand out.
Bueller. Rick is not going to need heart surgery, because Rick is showing us that the proper human diet prevents all that stuff. A quick side, I had a patient today. You guys know I talk about my job a lot. Had a patient, we only had one patient today, but it was an out-of-town transport. It's a 62-year-old lady. She's 3.5 years older than me. She has neuropathy, diabetic neuropathy in her hands and her feet. Her hands were all like this because of the neuropathy. She's got kidney failure. You name it. You run down the list. She was going to a nursing home. She can't stand up anymore. Sweet lady, just a beautiful lady. But the standard American diet has ruined her. She's 3.5 years older than me. She's been in a nursing home for about 5 years. And if she would have chose Rick's path in this life, or mine and Brian's now, I sincerely doubt that I would have interacted with her today. And that's my soapbox there.
Yeah.
But thank God your mom doesn't need surgery. We're glad of that, Peter.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, Cynthia.
Yep. Cynthia's out there, so hello. Also, we have Charlie. Hello, Charlie.
Hey, Charlie.
This is funny. Imagine Rick versus Dr. Gregor, the vegan. you, you know, it's funny. You see those memes out there of
Mhm.
Dr. Gregor next to Dr. Sean Baker.
Right.
Those are the best.
Exactly.
Rick has been carnivore for almost as long as I've been alive, Charlie says. Here's a cool one. I take 7 to 8 mile walks in the 90 plus degree and super humid South Florida sun every morning without drinking any water with my shirt off, and I'm 63 years old. Who else is doing this?
Nobody on the standard American diet is doing that, Peter. Nobody. Only
Yep,
carnivores.
that's true right there. That is true. Rick, Rick dug up and moved 2 banana plants on 95-degree day. I tell you, I've been carnivore here for 3 years, but I was just down in South Carolina, which is close to Florida. Still not probably as humid, but still it's close. And I was down there for a while for my daughter, and I got to tell you, when it's like 95 degrees, it feels like it's 110 at least because it's so humid down there.
Yep.
It's hot.
My wife and I went to Vegas about 5 or 6 years ago, and while we were there, it was 116 or 117 degrees. Set a record that day. But Brian, down there, that the heat is so dry, like in Arizona, Texas, the western Texas, and Nevada. When you go in the shade, it's markedly cooler. In South Carolina and North Carolina and Georgia, the area that I've lived most of my life in, you go in the shade, it's not any cooler. It's just as hot because that humidity follows you there.
Yeah. All right. So we're caught up in comments. So let's get back to our topic, carnivore myths. Now I know we got a list here that you had sent me. Did you want to go into some of this, or did you want me to talk through it? How did
I'll
you
bring up the next one. So you brought the last one about heart attack here. Rick brought it up actually, I think. So Dr. Kiltz, on Dr. Kilt's website, drkiltz.com, he has a list of myths that have been debunked. So, and doing some research, trying to get ready for night show, I ran across that. When I Googled carnivore diet myths, of course, I got the standard, there's a myth that the carnivore diet is healthy. There's a myth the carnivore diet can cure diabetes. There's a myth. But I scrolled on past all that and I ran across drkiltz.com and he did an article on here. Now, if you go to this article, and it's this drkiltz.com, his website, and it's 7 carnivore diet myths. You can look it up if you want, but we're going to pull one thing from here. One of the big myths is that carnivore, eating a lot of red meat, and you guys have probably heard this before, Brian, I'm sure you have, that it causes cancer. And I'm going through this, and I'm looking at it. I think it was a 2019 review. Maybe it was a 2018 study. Oh, yeah, an interesting 2018 study, and this is right from drkiltz.com website, so give him the credit. An interesting 2018 study found that there was no difference in the rate of colorectal cancer between vegetarians and carnivore. So if vegetarians who eat all vegetables and get all that plant fiber, if it's so much better than you, the expected outcome would be they have much lower rates of colorectal cancer. But this prospective study in 2018, and I think it was like 300,000 people in the study, so it was not a small study, and it was like a meta-analysis, so it was a cumulative study, showed that vegetarians suffer the same rate per 1,000 or per 100, whatever the thing was, of colorectal cancer as carnivores. And if I could go on just a bit of a rant here, so everybody knows when you start carnivore, you go through most people go through some digestive challenges. Now, prior to going carnivore, I dealt with, I don't know if it was IBS, but I had loose stools every day for about 35 years, every single day. It became part of normal life. I went carnivore, and of course, a weekend or so when I had trying to transition over to being fat adapted, I had really, really bad diarrhea. Lasted 4 or 5 days, and then it went away. And then I had periods where I'd go 4 or 5 days without having a BM. I never really had bloating or stomach pain or whatever, but it was concerning, to go 4 or 5 days without having a bowel movement, having had 2 or 3 a day every day for 35, 36 years. But I'm at the point now, and this is the longest I think I've been strict carnivore, and I've not fallen off the wagon. I've done very well. I have a normal BM every morning. And when I say normal, at the risk of TMI, I need very little toilet paper. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like when I was a child. It's not painful. It comes quick and it goes, and I'm done for the day. And this is the most normal that my digestive system. A little bit of a backstory. Both my mother and my father both suffered from colorectal cancer. So I have it on both sides. So if it's hereditary, I should have it. But having gone carnivore and been strict and doing all the other things like working out and trying to get sleep and all that stuff, my digestive system, it's like when I was a child. I mean, it couldn't be, I don't know how it could be any better. No bloating, no gas, no upset stomach, nothing. So if carnivore caused stomach issues that would lead to colorectal cancer, to go back, we know that the vegetarian and the vegan crowd would have much lower rates of colorectal cancer, but per a study of 300,000 people, that is not the case. Their rates of the same. And not to say that we don't get colorectal cancer, but so do those folks as well. And you don't want nobody to get cancer, but we're not at any greater risk for doing this. And like I say, right now, if I couldn't imagine that I would have any type of colorectal problems going on as normal and regular as my digestive system has been in the last month.
You know, playing into that, one of the carnivore diet myths that I was going to talk about actually plays kind of into that, has to do with fiber. People say carnivore diet is not good for you because in the carnivore diet, you don't eat fiber and you need fiber, right? Well, again, ChatGPT says fiber is not essential for bowel movements. Many carnivore dieters actually report better digestion and less bloating after cutting out fiber. Meat is fully absorbed in the small intestine, leaving minimal waste, which means fewer but often more comfortable bowel movements. Again, this is ChatGPT. You know, the ChatGPT or any type of AI out there is not going to be biased in trying to say things that they know maybe aren't true because they want to sell certain products or whatever, right? So you're finding the real answers when you go to things like that. And that's what I guess we got to get more people that are thinking about carnivore and not sure to actually find these types of answers, because I mean, there's all kinds of things that are misconceptions out there about carnivore, and you can just go to ChatGPT and it will debunk them.
And ChatGPT, Brian, is pulling information from a lot of different sources. It's scouring the web in a millisecond to find the best data that it can find. And I'm no shield for ChatGPT, but the big thing now is do your research. So a lot of people are going to use ChatGPT and Grok and all the other AI platforms to do their research. And I think that bodes well for the carnivore community, because as they continue to do their research, they're going to say, oh, well, I guess what I thought for all these years was wrong. And ChatGPT or Grok or one of the other ones has pretty much bored that out. So I think that's puts us in a good place for, for having people come on the carnivore diet. Now let's look at how that's going to affect me. This may put me out of a job. If everybody gets healthy and nobody needs transport to the nursing home at 50 or 60 years old, I may have to go back to, I don't know, being a pressure washer or something, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay if we heal humanity, if I have a little bit less work to do at work. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah. All right. Let me catch us up on some comments again. Cynthia says, I had plenty of vegan and healthy food eating people on my cardiac floor. So is this because you're a nurse, or were you actually in the hospital? She's a nurse, right? Cynthia's a nurse.
I think Cynthia's a nurse.
Was a nurse.
Yeah.
So I think that's what she's talking about. Yep. Hopefully she'll comment later and we'll see it.
Yeah.
Rick wants to know if anybody has seen his blood pressure. I want to say I've seen a video where he had showed it and it was really low. I don't know.
Well, if Rick has low blood pressure, that just means the inside of his arteries, his interior artery and vein walls are extremely healthy, because what makes your blood pressure go up is inflammation on the inside of your arteries. So the fact that Rick's been carnivore for so long says that his veins and arteries are probably picture perfect. We should all hope to get there.
Yeah. Johnny, what a sad story about that 62-year-old woman with diabetic neuropathy in a burning home.
I think it's supposed to be
She's
nursing
a
home.
year. Yeah,
Yeah.
nursing home. There you go. She's a year younger than me. I reverse diabetes, high blood pressure, fatty liver, acid reflux, gout, and so much more.
Yep.
Yep.
It's so
Yeah.
simple, Peter. It's so simple.
So he says Rick's blood pressure is one notch above a cadaver. So I think there has been a video then, because that seems to me like he did show that in a video. Peter's, I was on 3 blood pressure medications and still had nearly stroke level BP before carnivore. Now I'm off all of my medicines, 120 over 75 most of the time. It's good.
Well, Peter, along those lines, 2 years ago, I was on lisinopril, hydrochlorothiazide, and metoprolol. I was on 3 blood pressure medicines and a fluid pill, and the lowest my blood pressure ever was 190 over 100. That is borderline stroking out. I'm on no medicines now. The last time I took my blood pressure, it was 136 over 84. Still a little bit higher than I like for it to be, but a far cry from that 190 over 100 or 190 over 110 on 3 different meds. So the proof is in the pudding. I mean, there's Peter and myself we can give our testimony that eating too much meat does not cause high blood pressure. They're another myth debunked.
Yeah. So Rick wants to know if ChatGPT knows he exists. I just checked to see, and I'm looking at a picture of Rick right now on ChatGPT.
Wow. That's awesome.
This is what he said. Here's what I found about Rick Rodriguez, known as the 40-year carnivore. So ChatGPT knows about you. And it just goes on to talk about exclusively eating meat for over 4 decades, adopted the carnivore lifestyle as a teenager around the age of 15. This is pretty good. Wow. Appeared on multiple podcasts and live streams sharing his experiences, including the Primal podcast, Carnivore Diet with Rick Rodriguez, life lessons from 40 years on a carnivore diet with Carnivore Today. Also featured in recent videos, including watch Rick Rodriguez debunk all the myths about meat and morning meetup with Rick Rodriguez. So there you go. Oh my gosh. And there's more. Holy smokes. There's paragraphs here. What Rick Rodriguez shares, longevity on carnivore, myth busting, practical advice, what health experts say. Broader scientific consensus remains skeptical. Interesting. Summary. Rick Rodriguez's perspective, long-term health, vigor, and ideal performance. Offers practical long-term carnivore tips. Sees meat only as sustainable personal approach. This is cool. So yes, ChatGPT definitely knows you exist, Rick.
Big brother is watching, Rick. Big brother is watching.
Oh, there you go. Cynthia was a cardiac post ICU nurse. I thought she was a nurse. So yeah, it makes sense to me.
Cynthia, are you
There you go.
retired
Here's this
now? Are you
BP.
still working or are you retired?
I think she's retired, but we'll let her answer. Rick says 90 over 60 when he's resting.
There's nobody Rick's age
BP.
that has blood pressure that good.
No, there's that. But there's, I mean, how many people have been doing basically meat only for 40 some years, right?
2, Rick and Maggie. Maggie's up in
Yeah.
Canada. Rick and Maggie, the only 2. That's it. There's nobody
I
else.
don't know of anybody else. Yeah, exactly. Peter says, I saw a young guy, maybe 40s or early 50s, who had a stroke and was dragging one leg and his hand was curled up. So sad.
Very sad.
Rick will be interviewed by Amy Rockin' Keto channel on August 10th.
I love Amy. She's awesome.
Let's see. That'll be Sunday. So this Sunday. Cool. Good to know AI knows who I am. Yep. All right. We got another carnivore myth we want to go over?
Yeah, let's talk about this is one of my favorite ones because this one comes up most often when you bring this up to people. I would love to do it, but it's too expensive and I simply can't afford it. Ryan, why don't you tackle that one? That's the myth. You debunk it.
Okay. Cool. Get to put me on the spot here. All right. So this is actually pretty easy. Now, first of all, I will go with something that Dr. Ken Berry says a lot. He says, you just basically get what you can afford. If all you can afford is eggs and hot dogs, then get eggs and hot dogs. There's this misconception about hot dogs being bad for you, and they're really not that bad. Maybe it's not as clean as getting like a grass-fed steak or something like that, but it's still not that bad. So you can do that. You can go, well, let's go back to eggs. Most people can get eggs if you don't go with the, the more expensive, cleaner, pasture raised, that type of thing. You can get eggs for $2 to $3 a dozen, somewhere in there, right? If you go with the pasture raised, you're probably looking $7 or $8 a dozen. But still, so let's say you go with the $2 to $3 ones for a dozen. That's pretty cheap right there. You can get ground beef, usually somewhere around $4 to $5 a pound. Especially if you buy it in bulk, you get it cheaper, right? So you can buy a bunch of ground beef. You can make different things up. You can mix the ground beef in with the eggs. You can make burger patties, whatever, type of deal you want to do. Make other different recipes. So you can do stuff like that. You can buy formed burger patties. You can go to like Aldi, for instance, if you have an Aldi, and they will have burger patties that are in the formed, they're already formed into burger patties in their freezer section for less than they're selling a pound of ground beef or per pound of these burger patties. So I think they're selling their ground beef, I think it's like $4.99 a pound, and for about $3.80 a pound or something like that, you can get the burger patties. So not very expensive at all. If you can afford some steak, go with some of the cheaper cuts. You can go with chuck eye. You can go with sirloin, stuff like that. And you can just add butter or whatever to get a little more fat content on the sirloin. The chuck has pretty good fat content, like a ribeye. So those are some different things that you can do. Chicken, if you want to go chicken, you can get chicken with skin on it, which is going to have a little bit more fat. You can get chicken thighs, usually pretty cheap. Sometimes they're on sale, I don't know, like $1.99 a pound or somewhere like that around me. So you can get them pretty cheap. So that's another option that's pretty cheap. There's so many different options that really are not that expensive. And then now you want to add in that that's what you're eating. You're not eating all these sides that you had to eat before, right? Like potatoes and rice and who knows whatever else that you're eating, right? So you're not eating those anymore. When it comes to drinking, you can just drink water. You don't have to drink anything else. So people that were drinking like a lot of soda and stuff like that, I mean, some of my family is not doing the carnivore diet, and I can't believe the price of soda now. It's like, I want to say it's like $10 or $12 for a 12 pack, something like that. That's crazy. I mean, that's how long it's been since I've had soda, but I remember when it used to be like $3 or something like that for a 12 pack. So, you're saving money with that. Okay. You're going to find over time that you're sick less often. So you go to the doctor and need prescriptions less often. So you're saving money there as well. So there's all these different things that kind of play into it. But you try and go with what you can afford, and then you can work your way up as maybe you're saving a little bit more money. Now you can splurge and get those pasture raised eggs or something. So that was long, but what do you got to add to that? Because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff I missed.
No. I think you did a very comprehensive. I mean, you covered that in a very comprehensive manner, Brian. I would just say that that was the same concern. And Brian, tell me if you had. I had some of those same concerns when I first decided to go carnivore. My wife's like, "How are we going to afford this?" And it did seem daunting at first. The longer I'm in it, the better I get at knowing when the grocery stores put their meat on sale. Tuesday morning at the Harris Teeter right across the street from where I live. Harris Teeter is a grocery chain near me. On Tuesday morning, they put the meat out. They have to sell it or get rid of it by that day. And they'll mark it down 30, 40, 50%. And I'll go buy it up. And I don't store anything else in my freezer because all I do is meat. Now, my wife has some frozen vegetables, but I have a freezer basically just for meat. So when I find meat on sale, hopefully it's around payday, so I have a little extra cash, I stock up. Also, Brian, the thing that we don't talk about very often that's an overlooked, relatively inexpensive thing is canned tuna. Canned tuna is really inexpensive. And you can boil 2 or 3 eggs, mix it in with some canned tuna. And I use my tuna, I like it in water because the oil is vegetable oil. So don't do that. Get the tuna in water. And that's another great meal for not a lot of money. The longer I do this, the more I stay in it, the more I realize that all these myths that we are debunking they weren't even real. They seemed real at first, and I get that. But the longer I do it, the more I realize that this is actually easier, cheaper, more convenient. And the big benefit on top of that is I won't be in the doctor's office and having to go get prescriptions and x-rays and surgeries. And how much does that stuff cost? And what's your quality of life worth? People have an iPhone 16, unlimited this, they got Netflix, they got Hulu, they got all this stuff, but then they say they can't afford to eat healthy. Where are your priorities? If you're living that close to the bone, and a lot of Americans are, I mean, I'm a paramedic, I don't make a lot of money, but I've prioritized my health and longevity over some of those niche conveniences of like Netflix. I don't even have Netflix anymore. I got rid of it. And the money I save from all that stuff, I spend on food. I have increased energy, so I spend all my extra energy outside running sprints and doing push-ups and just being out in nature.
Yeah. That's a great point where you said it's your health, right? And prioritizing your health. That's a big thing too. Like a lot of people that are talking about not being able to afford carnivore diet is they're not really thinking of it as in this is your health, which is the most important thing. If you don't have your health, you don't have anything. Like you need to have your health first, right? And it should be a priority over some of those other things, like you said, the Netflix and so forth. So that is definitely a big thing.
I'll go back real quick.
Back into
the comment you just clicked off. Go back to that, if you will. I think it was Peter. Somebody said they bought chicken drumsticks.
Chicken. Yeah.
828 Papa Carnivore.
Oh, I can't see timestamps. Can I? Oh, yeah, I can.
Yeah.
828.
Papa Carnivore, Peter.
Is that it? No, that's the wrong one. That was meatball.
Yeah.
Wait, let's just say that one real quick. Meatballs. Then you read the ingredients. Yes, always check the ingredients and stuff like that. And by the way, hello, Bill. Good to see you.
Yeah, Bill. Welcome, Bill. You can make your own meatballs. A little sausage and a little meat mixed together. You can make your own, but yeah, if you buy the pre-made ones, they're full of fillers.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm back on chicken drumsticks one. There you go. 88 cents a pound.
That's 10 pounds of chicken for less than $10.
Yeah. Yep.
And I love drumsticks. That's my favorite part of the chicken. Skin on drumsticks in the oven.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The skin has a good amount of the fat, which you want to get, right? That's part of the thing. Like in the standard American diet, most people are not getting enough fat intake. So, all right. So I'm going to go back to this one. We're going to have a couple comments here about blood pressure again. Most doctors who would see a patient with Rick's low blood pressure would panic and think he needs immediate intervention so he doesn't die. But then Bill popped in here with his. He's 64 years old. His 92 over 60. Amazing. And once he saw his 87 over 61. So check out those blood pressure numbers from people doing the carnivore diet, guys. It's great. Cynthia wants to know if Rick feels like a celebrity now. For anybody that missed it, Rick wanted to know if ChatGPT, because I was talking about ChatGPT earlier and how it is actually debunking some of those carnivore diet myths. Rick asked if ChatGPT even knew who he was. So I looked it up to see if he did, or he or she, I guess, ChatGPT, it knew exactly who Rick was and talked about some of the videos he's been in and podcasts and so forth. So I thought that was pretty cool. Let's see. Peter says, I drink water and sometimes sparkling water. I'll have sparkling water sometimes too.
Yep.
Also a cup of fatty coffee with butter, some bacon grease, and a splash of cream in the AM. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I know there's a lot of people out there that are. So that's a good one for them. There you go. Johnny is. Bill says, I believe I just watched your video the other day where you were sprinting, Johnny. There's a lot of them with him sprinting.
Yeah, I've spent most all my videos. It's probably getting
Yep.
old, but I love it. It's so much fun. And I just want to say those videos are not slowed down. They're not running slow speed. I'm actually going that slow. That's real speed, and that's as fast as this whole guy can go. Now, I actually did watch my most recent video. My wife and I were watching it, and I looked and I said, I'm actually running pretty fast for an old fat guy. And I really enjoy running sprints. If you don't do sprinting, I recommend giving it a try. It's a lot of fun.
The one thing I've noticed in your videos is you're always improving, right?
Yep.
And that's like a big thing is don't worry about where you're at compared to other people. Just try and improve yourself. And if you're improving your time, yourself, then you're improving your health. So that's a good thing. We're going to go back to meatballs here. Rick says just roll up some ground beef. I agree. You could add sausage in there. Do ground beef and sausage. And there you go. You have your own meatballs that are going to be pretty healthy. But even you could just do ground beef. Rick says leg quarters at Presidente for 78 cents a pound. That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, so that's the thigh and the drumstick, right? The leg quarters, the drumstick, and the thigh. That's amazing.
I think so, yeah. Yep. I'm not sure where this came from, but I agree. Cynthia and Peter, you are both amazing. You're both awesome. Cynthia says her BPs are super low now also, and she is 64.
That's amazing. And, some of these things we talk about, the heart disease and all, high blood pressure is a major risk factor. So if carnivore lowers your blood pressure, then by default, it lowers your cardiovascular risk. This is not, ChatGPT is smart, but you don't have to be ChatGPT to know that high blood pressure causes heart problems. Lower your blood pressure with carnivore diet. Therefore, your risk of cardiovascular disease has to be reduced.
Yep. Bill uses his air fryer on drumsticks covered in tallow. Tallow, that's a good one. Good stuff.
Almost heart attack chicken, getting there, right?
Rick, I want to see a video from Rick with his sprints. I definitely want to see that.
Rick, I'm going to come to Florida and we're going to have a head-to-head meet. I'm sure you'll beat me, but how fun would it be to film that video, me and you racing each other? That would get a lot of views, I'm sure. We're going to bring Brian down there too and get him going too.
I keep saying I'm going to do sprints and I still haven't started. I had this summer I've dealt with from the antibiotic. I had some foot issues and stuff. And I know it sounds like excuses, but I still have not gotten to sprinting. I got to start doing it because whenever we meet, you're going to destroy me if I don't get running.
Hey, I'm thinking about September, Brian. If I can get up that way in September, hopefully we can plan it out for September.
Okay. Sounds good. Bill walks. Sometimes he carries a backpack with 52 pounds.
Brian, you and I have talked about that. I need to get me a what do you call it, rucksack or whatever, a backpack, put some weights in it. That's something that I need to do. That would be a pretty inexpensive and easy thing to do to increase the resistance, because I like to walk too.
Yep. So you can just use a backpack, or you can buy the weighted vests that are out there. I don't know how expensive they are, but they might be kind of expensive. So that's why a backpack's a good option.
Yeah.
Just put something heavy in it. Rick says, my dad ate super healthy fruits and veggies, whole grain supplements, and had high blood pressure, glaucoma, and got heart disease. So here's another thing. This isn't necessarily a carnivore diet misconception, but this is just a misconception out there that people always say. high blood pressure or diabetes or whatever it is hereditary. That's what they always say, right? Okay, Rick's dad had high blood pressure, but Rick, what did we say his blood pressure was? Like 90 over 60?
Yeah.
He doesn't have high blood pressure at 57, 58 years old. The only difference is their diets. He's eating differently. So it's not that it's necessarily hereditary. Maybe there are certain things that if you eat a certain way that you shouldn't, that you're more likely to get something. But if you eat properly, you're a lot less likely to get that. That always gets me about the whole where people say that it's hereditary.
Brian, I've heard it said that genetics are the gun, diet is the bullet.
There you go. That's a good one. I use my, I don't know what ILD window lead weights from my 84-year-old house. I'm not sure I understand.
So I guess he's saying he's got lead weights that have something to do with his window.
Old window lead
window.
weights.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Puts those in the backpack. Yep. There we go. Yep. Old window.
There you go. No
Took us
cost
a
involved.
second.
Yeah.
We're a little slow.
No cost involved, and he's getting. I mean, that's amazing. That's the kind of thing we need to push. You don't have to go out and spend a ton of money to do a lot of the stuff that we talked about here. I mean, it cost me nothing to go out and sprint. It cost me nothing to do push-ups. I did buy a jump rope for $6 at Walmart, and I've had it for 10 years, 11 years. So if you divide that out over the years, that's 60 cents a year from a jump rope. But Bill's got a great idea. Took some old weights off a window, and he does his rucking with that. That's amazing.
Yeah. So Cynthia wants to know how we handle the heat and humidity. Iowa has rained about every day and hot. I can't even dry my clothes. I have them on my inside line and they are still wet after 2 days. Right now it actually cooled off the last day or two. Finally, the last couple days. It was so hot here for 3 weeks or something like that, up and down the East Coast. It was crazy. Some days at 10 a.m., it may have only been 90 degrees at that point, but the heat index was like a 110 or 115 at 10 a.m. I was like, it had been so hot lately.
And Cynthia, how I do, I've just acclimated myself. I sit outside a lot. I do not run the air conditioner in my car. I drive around when the window's up like a moron. But the more you're in it, the more you get acclimated to it, the less it bothers you. My wife grew up in South Georgia. She and her mom, she was an only child, and her mom didn't have a lot of resources, and they didn't have air conditioning. My wife was raised in basically South Georgia, South Central Georgia, her whole life without air conditioning. She didn't have air conditioning until she went off to college. And in that part of Georgia, it's very humid and very hot. But she was used to it. And of course, now we have air conditioning. We've had it for the 32 years we've been married, and she had it, obviously before that. She's not as acclimated to the heat outside, but she grew up not even knowing what air conditioning was. So it's what you can make yourself get used to. And it takes effort. When I'm driving around in the summer with my windows up and I'm sweating to death in my car, or if I'm sitting on the front porch or cutting my grass out there, I want to come inside in the air conditioning, but I know that the best thing I can do to be acclimated to that is just stay out there in it. And usually by the end of the summer, about the time the weather changes, I'm used to the heat, and then fall comes. But yeah, it's just you got to push yourself. It's like running or anything else, lifting weights. The more you do it, the easier it gets. So just being out in the heat and humidity, I mean, it sucks. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I enjoy it. It just, I like to push myself out of my comfort zone. Like cold plunges. I hate doing cold plunges, but I do one about 4 or 5 days a week in the morning. And it's a miserable 2.5 minutes, but I push through it. And I don't know if it's helping, but it's not hurting.
Well, definitely with the heat, you got to keep yourself hydrated. But I'll say
Yeah.
this. I did grow up in the Midwest, not on the East Coast.
Mhm.
But when I grew up, we didn't have central air or anything like that. I remember it just being hot, and that's just the way it was. And the first time I had central air in a house was 18 years ago when I moved out here to Virginia in 2007. The first house that we rented when we first moved out here had central air. First time I had central air. So
Wow.
I grew up, I got married, I had a house of my own, and we still didn't have central air. And I remember there was one summer my wife was pregnant with our twins, and it got really hot, and that was the infamous Northeast blackout that happened, and it went all the way to the Midwest, and we didn't have power, so we didn't have fans or window AC or anything like that entire day, evening, and that. And I remember my wife, she was like 6, 7 months pregnant at that point with twins, and she was so hot. We actually had to go in the car and go for a drive so that we could turn the AC out of the car so that she could cool off a little bit. Oh, here's another good thing for in your backpack or whatever. Using rocks, Dr. Kiltz. There you go. Peter's asking Rick if the leg quarters are still on sale at Presidente. I'm guessing that must be a really far south, like Florida thing, Presidente, because I know we don't have anything here around me. Do you have it in North Carolina, Presidente?
No, I'm familiar with it. They do have it down in Florida. I think as far north as Jacksonville, because I've seen one in Jacksonville when I used to drive an 18-wheeler. But we don't have them in South Carolina or North Carolina or Georgia. So it must be a Florida, like maybe a region-specific thing.
Okay. All right. Do we want to tackle another carnivore diet myth?
Sure. I got one.
Okay.
The carnivore diet is bad for the environment. I put something on social media, Facebook, about doing the carnivore diet, and somebody said that I'm just killing myself with cholesterol and I'm destroying the environment. Well, here's the thing. When cows, grass-fed, grass-finished cows eat grass, the carbon that they're taking in is in the grass. They don't make CO2. CO2 is already there. They take it in, they digest it with their ruminant stomach system, and eventually they do expel it into the air. But eventually it turns into rain and CO2. It actually can be carbon neutral, and in some cases with regenerative farming, where the cows are truly grass-fed and they're never put into a feedlot, it's actually carbon negative. It's actually good for the environment. Now, I was raised by a farmer. My dad is a farmer. He raises vegetables. He raises beef cattle, but he also does vegetables. And I can tell you, and you being in the Midwest, Brian, I'm sure you've seen this. As I traveled in my 18-wheeler up and down I-70 and I-80 and all out in Iowa, down there out there where Cynthia is at, you see these planes flying over, the crop dusting planes and helicopters. Man, they're spraying all kinds of glyphosate and Roundup and everything all over these vegetables. And the plane is burning fuel. The planes don't run off fairy dust. They burn off fuel. And all the glyphosate, all the Roundup, all the pesticides are putting on there. They're manufactured in a plant. They're put on a truck or train, and they're CO2'd all the way across the country or across the world to wherever they end up. So if you think by eating a plant-based diet, you're saving the environment, you're not thinking at all. Cows, yeah, they do. Regenerative farming actually is carbon negative. It actually cleans the environment. So to you vegans and vegetarians, you're welcome. We're cleaning up your environment. And you can research that. I got that during Dr. Kiltz's thing, but I knew that, you know, my dad is a cattle farmer. He raises cows. And if you go out anywhere in the Midwest or down, especially down in Texas, Oklahoma, parts of Georgia, where there's a lot of beef cattle farms, even dairy farms, you go out there at night and look up in the sky and you can see about 1 billion stars. If it were bad for the environment, I don't think the skies would be so clear and the air would be so crisp and clean. Well, there's literally tens of thousands of cattle. That's what, to me, in my experience, the air seems the cleanest. And you can look up at night and you can see about 1 billion stars in the sky, meaning there's not a lot of pollution between you and those stars. So that's another myth that we're going to debunk right here. It is not bad for the environment. Now, to be fair, when these cows are packed, 300 of them in a feedlot, and they're just given, you know, this grain, and I've even heard of some farmers giving their cows Skittles, candy, because it fattens them up very, very quickly. And they've actually caught some farmers doing this. That probably isn't great for the environment. But the responsible farmers, the regenerative farmers, probably your local small rancher, they're actually cleaning the environment versus causing damage to the environment. So What you got anything on that, Brian? I didn't mean to dominate that whole topic there.
Oh no, you're good. I'm just gonna say, amazing. Skittles make you fat. Who would have thought that?
Yep.
Interesting. So Peter did find out, yes, they are still on sale. Look at that 10-pound bag of leg quarters for $7.88 at Presidente. So if you are in Florida, go get that. That's a great deal.
Exactly.
CO2 comes from fermentation. Rick says that his yard is carbon negative. So there you go, carbon negative.
I bet you Rick can give us the science on that. Rick is so smart on so many different topics. Rick, give us the masterclass real quick, if you will, on what do you mean by your yard is carbon negative? I believe him. I 100% believe him. Rick is so learned on so many different topics. I guarantee you, when he says that, there's truth behind it, and he can back it up with facts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean to put you on the spot, Rick, but if you watch his videos, he goes into detail on a lot of things. I'm like, how does one man know so much about so many different topics? And if you ever want to,
because he's been eating carnivore for so long, he remembers everything. It stays in his brain. He remembers
that's what it is. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do another one for us. And again, Chat GPT. I'm telling you, this is great. The misconception is the carnivore diet lacks essential nutrients. However, Chat GPT says, while it may seem restrictive, animal products are actually nutrient dense. Beef liver, for example, is rich in vitamin A, B vitamins, iron, and copper. Red meat contains bioavailable zinc, iron, and creatine. Many people unknowingly absorb nutrients better from animal sources than from plants due to lack of anti-nutrients like oxalates and phytates. Did I say that right? Phytates.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Again, ChatGPT debunking these myths about carnivore diet.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
Rick is building soil at a rate of an inch every 3 years.
That is friggin' amazing. So he's right. Carbon negative. He's exactly right. Yep. I told you.
His friends think you have an amazing memory. I mean, yeah.
Well,
there you go. So we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cynthia has a local butcher who sells chicken legs for 50 cents a pound is normal, and ground ribeye is usually $3.25 a pound. Wow, ground ribeye.
It's amazing.
That's pretty good. I might just have to take a trip out to Iowa just to get that. That is great.
We go out there and see Greg, but Greg moved, so we'll have to just go out there and just have lunch with Cynthia or something. We'll go together.
Yeah, but he's over in like Oklahoma City now or something, isn't he? Yeah,
I think he's in
something like that.
Nebraska. He moved to Nebraska.
Okay. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, he's over by where the College World Series is, because I remember him talking about it. He went there.
Yeah.
This last year for some of it. Yep. Rick says you can eat meat raw and do fine, but raw plants make you sick. Yep.
I read somewhere
there are certain plants. Yeah.
Go ahead. I read somewhere about a year ago or 2 years ago, and I didn't go back and look at it. Maybe we can Chat GPT this, but like I think it was red beans, some type of bean that most people would eat, red beans or lima beans. If you ate like a handful of raw, whatever the bean was, it could literally kill you. When we cook them, we're not only cooking them to soften them up, we're cooking them to cook out some of the poison that's in there. I mean, think about it. If you're lost and you're walking through the woods or the forest, you can't just grab any plant and eat it. Some of those plants will kill you right now. Some will kill you, some will poison you, make you sick, but some plants are like the foxglove plant. That's what we make certain medications out of. Cynthia, you know about this, the foxglove plant. It's a beautiful flower to look at, but if you ate it, it would kill you. They make rat poison out of it. And they actually make, what's the blood thinner where you got to get your blood levels checked every so often?
Coumadin?
Say again?
Coumadin?
Yeah, coumadin. Coumadin is made from the foxglove plant, a tiny, tiny extract from it. If you ate a flower from a foxglove plant, it will kill you. So there you go. Rick's making another great point.
After converting my yard to a banana patch in 2021, it is already 6 inches higher with new soil.
Yeah.
Beans contain deadly phytates and lectins that have to be cooked away. Yep.
That's why as
There
humans
you go,
we've
cumin.
evolved. Yeah, cumin, and that's what it was. As humans, we have evolved to know to cook that stuff because of digitalis is right. Digit, exactly. Um,
Yep.
if we ate raw stuff, we die. So now they know that you have to cook it. And, the longer you cook beans, the softer and the more, I guess, desirable, edible they are. But if you ate so many raw beans, even as an adult male, it will kill you. And there's not many meats. Obviously, you ate raw chicken, it would not be good for you. But any other meat probably do just fine.
That's like mushrooms. There's certain mushrooms that are completely poisonous that if you eat, you die. Here's a question I have. When back in the day, when somebody was trying to find something to eat, they probably were hunting, right? And if they didn't find anything, they were hungry, they wanted something to eat. So that's why they started eating some plants or some berries or whatever, right? But how did they find out certain plants you would die from? Did they just let one person in the tribe try it, and if they died, okay, don't eat that? Is that what they did? That's what I wonder.
It might be. I mean that's how it will be new. So look at Rick's next comment. Fermentation is another method to make plant material safer. And so you guys know I follow, or if you don't know, I follow Dr. Sean O'Mara a lot, and he's real big on the carnivore diet, but he also puts fermented vegetables. He says that is really good for your gut microbiome. And we haven't touched on that tonight, but you guys, if you follow this line of reasoning, your gut microbiome, we're discovering now, just really in the last 10 years, it's responsible for a lot of processes in the body. So I haven't done it yet, but I bought some sauerkraut, and that's the only fermented food that I really like. So I may actually start including a little sauerkraut in with my carnivore meal, just to see if it makes any difference. I'm not married to it, but it's been fermenting for a while. It's actually in my closet right over there. It's been there for like 3 months in a dark, cold place, and it was already fermented at the store, but Dr. O'Mara said buy it and put it in a dark place somewhere in your house and let it ferment longer. It gets all the carbohydrates out of there. It gets all the lectins and stuff out of there. So I may try that, and we'll give it a go. I'll put it on my video and see how it does. But yeah, Bill said they had testers.
Yeah, they had testers. I've been dealing with issues since I took that antibiotic, right, with my gut, and I'm still working on it, but I haven't gone to like sauerkraut or anything like that, but I've been eating some yogurt and cottage cheese. I feel more comfortable with those because they're animal based, and they're fermented, and they help with the gut as well. So I've definitely been doing those things. You got to be careful with yogurt. You got to find one that's pretty clean, and unfortunately, usually that means it's an unflavored one, so it's not very tasty. But that's what you gotta do. But cottage cheese, I've been able to find some pretty good cottage cheese. I've been using that Good Culture cottage cheese, and it's really good. Plus, they are only using grass-fed cows, to make it with the milk in it and all that kind of stuff, the cream, whatever. So good stuff. Let's see.
I may try that cottage cheese, Brian, because I watched your video and you were showing the kind of the thickness or the consistency of it. Because a lot of cottage cheese you get is watery or milky, and when you had that, what was it called, Good Culture or whatever?
Good Culture.
It looked neat because I saw how it was much thicker or creamier, for lack of a better term, than some of the other cottage cheese I've tried. So I'm going to try that, especially that you can get it at Target and Walmart. I'm not opposed to running to Walmart and picking some up and trying it. So I'm going to give it a try. I'll let you know how I like it.
Yeah. Let me do something here real quick so that everybody can see. Hopefully this works. There we go. So this is the stuff. This is the low fat kind. They have a full fat one, and I think I've heard that they have a double cream one. Unfortunately, by me, all I can find is a low fat, and I don't know why. But and I found there's a Walmart neighborhood market by me. They have this. The regular Walmart does not have it, which is interesting. And then Target has it. None of the grocery stores have it. So it's very interesting. But yeah, I got one more picture for it that I will put in here for everybody to see. Because it'll be the ingredients. And then you can see the ingredients when this comes up. There we go. Skim milk, whole milk, cream, sea salt, live and active cultures, which is the fermentation process. That's it. So there's nothing bad in it, right? It's pretty good, clean stuff. Let's see.
Like it said made from stuff you can pronounce. I like that. Right above the ingredients, you see that little thing up there. And that's the problem with our modern food. You read the label and some of the stuff that even some stuff that's considered healthy. If you can't pronounce 2/3 of the stuff on there, why in the world would you eat it? I'm going to try that, Brian. There's a Walmart neighborhood market relatively close to me, and my wife and I prefer going in there versus going in the super Walmart because it's not nearly as packed with people. So I'm going to get over there. I'm off tomorrow and the next day. I may get some tomorrow and give it a try.
Good. All right, let's see. I got up on the screen here. Rick said all meats are edible unless they are contaminated with poisonous plants or bacteria parasites. Yep. That's true too. Point. True story. Going back to what I was asking about how they found out something was poisonous to them, the plants, where they asked the old guy who's seen it all. Here you go. Whole Foods has good culture. Unfortunately, I don't have a Whole Foods by me, but there you go for people that do. Organic cottage cheese, double cream. There you go. 6%. So it's good stuff. I like it. It's got a little bit of a stronger cheese-like taste to it than normal cottage cheese, and it's thicker. Maybe that's why it's a little bit stronger, because it's thicker. It's not so, like you were saying, watered down type of taste.
Right.
But I really like it. Oh, and by the way, Bride's Biscuit. I think that's the first comment I've seen here tonight from you. So hello, good to have you here.
Oh, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Yes. All right. Do we have any more that we want to tackle? Any more carnivore misconceptions?
Well, there's one last one, Brian, that I can think of, and it's people say that the carnivore diet. And I actually I worked with this 24-year-old girl today. She said she watched my video. Both of her grandparents suffer from Alzheimer's, and I was teaching her about diabetes type 3, which is what the rest of the world calls Alzheimer's. So she said she was going to try it, but then she said, it just sounds like it would be so boring. And I guess the way I do it is boring because I eat basically just ground beef, bacon, and sour cream. That's pretty much all I eat. But Brian, you made the chaffles. There's so many things, salmon. I've had salmon. You can do chicken in the air fryer. You can do Rick's heart attack chicken. You can do tuna. You can do boiled eggs, scrambled eggs, poached eggs. I like boring. Boring works for me because I'm so dadgum busy with my job and trying to get my YouTube stuff done that boring works for me. But for somebody that's got time and patience and creativity, which I don't have any of that, you can do a lot of stuff. There's that channel, Chris Cooking Nashville. There are you can go on all the carnivore influencers, and everybody's got a recipe for, I have done the Kilt's ice cream. So, and here it is in these hot, humid summers we're talking about. You could do that. So you have a little bit of a dessert that's 100% carnivore. It doesn't have to be boring. I mean, it can be. I prefer boring. I have one frying pan, one plate, and I use my glass that I drink out of, and one fork, and I cook, eat, and clean up in about 20 minutes, and I'm done for the day. So I like boring, but it doesn't have to be boring. Be creative. You've seen these carnivore pizzas with the chicken crust. So people say it's boring, but it doesn't have to be. For me, it works. Brian, I see you post your meals every day. You do a lot of New York strip and a lot of ribeyes here lately. So I guess boring kind of works for me and you, but it doesn't have to be. It can be I think when I eat standard American diet, I eat Taco Bell, Chinese, and and Burger King. That was pretty boring, and I was very, very sick. But it doesn't have to be boring. You make it what you want. There are so many neat recipes and things that people do. There are tons, especially a lot of the female carnivore influencers that use different cooking utensils to make truly carnivore meals that are maybe a little more aesthetically pleasing or a little bit more variety. So when people say, oh, it just sounds so boring, I think you can debunk that relatively easy by just doing a quick search on YouTube, carnivore recipes, and you'll find a plethora of them out there. I still haven't done your chaffles yet, Brian, but I'm going to when I get out of my boring phase.
Yeah. I want to talk about this comment here because this is a really, really good point. I changed my relationship with food. I don't look to it for entertainment. I'm a carb addict, not a moderator, but I healed through elimination. That's where a lot of the people that are saying like that it's too restrictive and they need more moderation, or not moderation, but they need more
variety.
There you go. More variety of different foods and so forth. They're still stuck in that it's for entertainment. They haven't got to the point of eating is actually for energy and keeping you alive and keeping you going and so forth. It's not what we as a society have turned it into, right? You should only eat when you truly need to eat, and not 3, 4, 5 times a day like so many people do. So that's a big point there. I'm glad someone put that out there.
And Brian, I'm going to circle that all the way back to what we talked about earlier about carnivore being very expensive. And I'm not saying that it doesn't cost money to do this, but it gets back to like when I buy groceries, and my wife and I have had this conversation. I've had this conversation with my brother day before yesterday. When I go to the store or to the butcher, I'm not buying bulk. I'm buying nutrients. It's a mind shift. If I want bulk, I'll go get 40 cases of ramen noodles for $25. I'm not buying bulk. I'm not buying something just to put something in my stomach and have the pleasure of it passing my lips. I'm paying for nutrients. I'm paying for nutrition to fuel my body, my heart, my liver, my kidneys. You guys know I said it here before, and you've watched any of my recent stuff. I completely reversed my kidney failure. I have normal kidney function. So when I go and I think about how I'm going to prioritize my money, I'm a paramedic. I don't make a lot of money. My wife's a retired teacher. So, we're not rolling in the dough. We're getting by, but not much more. But when I spend my money at the store, I'm paying for nutrition, not bulk and not entertainment. So I'm glad she said that, because that drives it all home for me,
Yeah. Bill says that's a very good mindset, but it's hard to accomplish. It is. And I was thinking this, but then Bride's Biscuit wrote this. Healing is believing. Disease is too restrictive for me. I chose to thrive. This understanding has changed my life, never going back. That's the thing. Like, everybody has to get to that point, that whether it's rock bottom or whatever, that you just change your mindset. Like, I need to do this. This is what I'm going to do. Right. It's really hard until you've got to that mindset. And you know what else is really hard? And you probably know this too, Johnny, is when you try to get to that mindset, but then everybody else in your house is eating other foods. And then you see those foods. That makes it really hard.
Yep. But Brian, like we said, hard is hard, but hard is not impossible. It just takes more effort than you really would like to put forward. But hard is not impossible, but it is hard. And it's worth it. I'm sure Bride's Biscuit would agree. That is 100% worth it.
Yes, I had asked Cynthia about how she made cottage cheese, because she had said somewhere in a post that she made her own cottage cheese. Maybe that was in the video I had about cottage cheese. So she says it's very easy. Warm the milk and add vinegar, citric acid, lemon juice, your choice. Let it curdle and strain. I'll try that sometime.
Yep.
I like adding cream to it afterwards. Cream cheese is made the same, except I put it through the food processor to make it smooth. Okay. Cool.
Cream cheese is one of my guilty pleasures. I think I eat way too much cream cheese. If I could back off on the cream cheese, I think my weight loss would pick up. Because that's the one thing. It's the sweetest thing I eat, and I get just the regular, the plain. What's the brand? That's so popular. I'm having a brain fart, but the regular cream cheese. I don't get the flavored one or whatever, but I still really, really enjoy it. But I've done really good lately. I've really gotten to where I'm not snacking a whole lot. It seems like the more disciplined I get with all this stuff, the better I feel. But yeah, Kraft, that's not the one I'm thinking of, but it's what is, anyway.
I don't know.
Cynthia, what's the most popular cream cheese out there? I got 2 things of it in my refrigerator right now, and I can't think of it. Of course, there's always the store brand. The packaging looks the same, and it's probably made by the same exact company. But anyway, I digress.
Okay, so we'll see if Cynthia comes up with it. Did she post it? Or
No, I
you
just
came
remember.
with it? You can't. Philadelphia. Okay.
The dots.
All right.
There you go, Philadelphia. Kooky Carnivore.
So I'm going to give us one more misconception here. Carnivore is just a fad diet with no scientific backing. Now, all I have to really do is say, have you seen Rick? Have you seen Maggie? That kind of thing, right? It's not a fad diet for people that have done it for over 40 years or 40 years. But anyway, again, ChatGPT here. This is what ChatGPT has to say about that. While it's still being studied, the carnivore diet has historical roots in traditional diets like the Inuit, Maasai, and early humans. Clinicians and researchers are increasingly documenting cases of autoimmune remission, weight loss, and improved metabolic health on carnivore diets. So you go. Again, ChatGPT seems to debunk all of the misconceptions about the carnivore diet. Yeah, here you go.
We talked about this earlier, Brian. If I'm not mistaken, Kooky Carnivore, thank you. Well, welcome, by the way, Kooky Carnivore. Thank you. That's right. Philadelphia was the thing I was looking for. Dr. Ken Berry, if I'm not mistaken, did a video a week or so ago, maybe 10 days ago. I have to go back to this playlist and look, talking about how AI was going to kind of destroy the whole carnivore is bad myth. And it's Brian has proven it every time he clicks on that ChatGPT. It gives an answer that's not biased. It's fact-based, based on tons of different data points that it's grabbing from all over the net. And as you can see, everything Brian has read so far has been basically calling balls and strikes right down the middle. It's not leaning left or right. It's just the facts based on tons and tons of data points.
Mm-hmm. I healed from multiple diseases, something I never thought would happen. But as a carb addict, I know how hard that change can be. If you get to a point of healing, though, that will be clarifying. Yep. And that's another point I kind of want to put out there. Like, carnivore can be different for everybody. And it doesn't even have to be full carnivore for people, right? But if you're a carb addict, like Bride's Biscuit, like me, like Johnny, you don't want to eat a little bit of carbs, right? Like, you need to restrict yourself. And I'll tell you, like, this is what happens with me. If I decide I'm going to eat a little bit of something, it messes up my brain and it makes me want to eat more of that. That's what happened to me last December. Let me tell you about this. And you've probably already heard the story, but just in case you haven't, I got into early December, I believe it was. And there was somebody I think my wife made Christmas cookies, or my daughter home, for Christmas time, whatever, cook some Christmas cookies. And I had one. I was like, you know what? I've been doing really good. I'm going to have one. Well, guess what? I think later I had another one. The next day I had a couple more. Next thing I know, over like 2 weeks, I gained like 15 to 20 pounds with eating junk. And that is my problem. Like, it just takes one to make me go back to that whole carb thing and craving carbs and want to eat that again. So that's why some people have to restrict and not eat it at all. And other people are okay where they can have a little bit and it doesn't affect them. It just depends on how you are. I'm that person that I can't do it. I got to tell you, it's taken me the entire year to try and get past that and be as clean as possible and lose that 15 to 20 pounds. All because of, I decided I was going to have a cookie, and it snowballed for like 2 weeks before I caught myself.
Brian, can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah.
And this is gonna be a little bit of a transparency for me. Have you ever gone and had a cheat cookie or something like that over the last couple of years, and did it in the car where your wife couldn't see you and your family couldn't see you, and kind of hid it?
To an extent, maybe. This is the closest thing I've got, is because, again, everybody else that's ever in my house is not carnivore, so they have other foods, right? And over the summer, before my daughter moved down to South Carolina, she was back. She graduated from Virginia Tech in May. She was back for the early part of the summer, the first month or two. And she had Oreo cookies in the pantry. And the one day I did go into the pantry, no one around. I took like 2 or 3 Oreo cookies and I slid down to the basement and I ate them. Now, my wrist started hurting later that evening. And then I looked it up, and guess what? Oreo cookies are high in oxalates. So, but yes, I did that.
And that's me. That's how I know I'm an addict, because I preach the carnivore diet. I talk about it. I try to live it, but I find myself, if I have a cheat, I go into a store, I look around, make sure nobody's looking. I eat it in my car. Then I throw the evidence away before my wife or any of my family members could ever see it. Now, fortunately, I've been pretty good here lately. I haven't done that, but that's a true sign of an addict. I had a cousin, Bobby, God, rest his soul. He died. He was an alcoholic. And every time he tried to get sober, he would hide. He would go and get a liquor bottle, and he would put it behind the building, and he would go out there at night and sneak it, and he ended up dying from cirrhosis of the liver. But I think that's a true sign of addiction. Like the lady was saying earlier, I'm sorry, I forgot her name. Bride's biscuit. It's truly an addiction, and it's an addiction when you have to hide it. And fortunately, I've been really good here lately. I haven't been perfect. I've screwed up in the last 2 weeks because we had company in from out of town, and we all went out to eat 5-6 meals in a row. And I ended up having a milkshake, which was really not that good. I wish I hadn't have done it. That was not a well spent $3, but I was the only one that wasn't doing any of this, and I thought, one's not going to hurt me. But yeah, I do find myself when I have cheats that I'm trying to hide it. I don't want anybody to see. I'm ashamed, which tells you right there that you're an addict. You're a carb addict, and like she was saying, Bride Biscuit was saying, you can't just have it in moderation. For me, Brian, and it sounds like for you, there's no such thing as moderation. 1 leads to 3, leads to 5, leads to 20, and it lasts for weeks. So I think I said this on here before. My wife can eat a half a chocolate chip cookie and put the rest in the refrigerator and have it 2 days later. The discipline that must take is amazing, but she's not an addict. She's not addicted to the stuff like I am. The old potato chip commercial, no one can eat just one. Well, for me, sweets, no one can eat just one bag or one box, because I'm going to eat all I can find. So
your wife and my wife would get along. My wife will get a candy bar at the store, and that candy bar, she'll eat a little bit of it, and it'll sit there, and it'll take her like this little candy bar, right? It'll take her like 3 or 4 days to eat that thing. And I am just like, God, will that thing go away? Will she eat that thing so it's not there anymore, Yeah. But here's an interesting thing. So Rick said, why would anyone want to eat a cookie? Exactly for what John, you just said, because they're addicted to it. We're carb addicts, and we still haven't gotten over that, whether we think we have or not. The reason why we know we are not is because if we eat something, we want to go back to it again. And here's something I want to ask you, Johnny, because so with saying why would anyone want to eat a cookie, it's kind of implying the taste of it, right? Mm-hmm. This is the big thing that I see. Whenever I saw something there that I shouldn't eat and then I go eat it, I'm always disappointed that it doesn't taste good to me. Do you notice that too?
Yeah. The risk benefit analysis, the benefit doesn't outweigh. You know what I'm saying? But I will say they do engineer these foods, Brian. We've talked about this, and everybody in this space has. These foods are chemically engineered by the food companies to be, the new term is hyper palatable, which means they want that hit your taste buds and light up the dopamine centers of your brain, to where it's almost like getting a shot of drugs. And so, I had a peach milkshake the other night, and it wasn't good at all. I'm like, why did I even get this? But the thought of it lit up that dopamine center in my brain. I was so excited. I was just going to have one cheat. I was out with friends and family, and we were up in the mountains, and we were having a good time and staying in a hotel. And it's just one. And I ordered, and I drank the whole thing, but I was really disappointed that it wasn't any better than I thought it was going to be. The thought of it was better than the actual drinking of it.
Yeah. Cheese addict too, which is hard because I have several autoimmune diseases. Yeah, a lot of the autoimmune things you can't have cheese, and I'll have to do an elimination test at some point. I feel fine on dairy, but blood markers need improving.
It's funny, Brian, when I eat cheese, whether it be just block cheese or sliced cheese or even cream cheese, I get phlegm in the back of my throat. I clear my throat for about 30 or 40 minutes. Happens every time. So there's a little bit of a histamine response there too. For me, it's not enough at this point for me to say I'm going to steer clear of that. But and it's been that way for years. I have one little bit of cheese, sometimes I mix cheese in my ground beef, and I get this nagging little, like a sensation of having to clear my throat for about 30 or 40 minutes, and then it goes away.
So I got something to add to that, but I think we just found what Rick's an addict at iguana. There we go. He's an ad for iguana. But okay, so 4 years before the carnivore diet, 4 years, every time I ate, I'd always have to blow my nose after I ate. I just thought it was something that happened. But now that you're talking about that and so forth, and I'm thinking, I don't blow my nose anymore after I eat. There had to have been something in plant material or something that was give me some kind of histamine reaction or something.
Yep.
Interesting.
And Brian, before I went carnivore, I used to have heartburn, a GERD, gastric esophageal reflux disease, heartburn, acid reflux. Man, I used to eat Tums by the I used to buy the big box of Tums at Sam's, the flavored ones, and I'd go through a box of those a week, just trying to kill that stomach acid. Since I've gone carnivore, I have yet to have heartburn a single time. Not a single time I've had heartburn since I went carnivore. And that was
Nice.
that in itself was worth the price of admission, because man, heartburn is miserable.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Cynthia had to leave, it looks like. Head off my sister-in-law, take care of her end-stage cancer. Sorry to hear that. Kidneys are saying now. I'm confused. Sorry to hear that, but thanks for joining us while you could, Cynthia.
We love Cynthia. She's amazing.
Yep. It's about money.
So true. So true.
And yes, definitely sorry to hear about your sister-in-law, Cynthia. So just trying to see what we got here. Boy, what did we start? What is this? Maybe some Chips Ahoy chewy chocolate chip cookies. Oh boy.
Peter's going to get Rick some cookies and let him try it.
Rick was looking at ducks today and having serious duck cravings.
Yeah, Rick said on his video yesterday or day before yesterday, he hadn't had a duck this year. What was that, Rick? You haven't had much duck this year.
And this is a good one. Congratulations. 20 years of, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, omeprazole and Tums.
Yep.
Carnivore cured it. So there you go. Congratulations for that. Good job. All right. We're getting close to an hour and a half here. I think we should start winding things down. So Johnny, let me ask you, what you got going on coming up?
Well, I only put out a small short video last week because I had company in from out of town. My best friend from high school, he and his wife came in from Seattle here to Charlotte where I live, and we spent a week with them. So I didn't get a good video out. Back on the grind tomorrow, going to have a good video out, exercising, sprinting, and talking about something. But the big thing I'm going to announce tomorrow, so you'll get a sneak peek of it here, is my plan is to actually take these sprints to the next level. And I'm going to compete in the North Carolina Senior Games in March. So I'm going to do the 50-meter dash and 100-meter dash. So instead of just going out and challenging myself to get a little bit faster and a little bit better on all these sprints, I'm going to start working towards the goal of competing in the senior games. If you finish in the top 4 at the local level, you can go to the state games. If you do top 4 at the state, you go to the nationals. But I mean, it'd be my first time trying. The age groups are 55 to 59. I'll be 59 next March. So I'll be one of the older people in my age group. But I'm going to film a documentary, about an hour long, maybe an hour and 20-minute long documentary. And I'm starting the filming tomorrow. So I'll film between tomorrow and the actual day of the games. And then I'll release that as like a standalone documentary, how this old fat guy turned his life around with Carnivore and was able to compete in essentially the senior local Olympics or whatever. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to get back to sprinting and working out and trying to watch a lot of videos and learn about how to get faster and better at 58 years old at sprinting, and then see if I can actually qualify for the state games or make a complete fool of myself. We'll see, but I'm excited about that. So I'll have a video out either tomorrow or Friday. It's going to have some workout footage in there, and of course sprinting and my laser timing system that I bought. So I see if I can start getting that time down on that 40-yard dash. What about you, Brian? What you got coming up?
Well, first I want to say that's really cool. I can't wait to see how that works out. Boy, what do I have going on? I don't know. Lately, like this summer's been so hectic. It seems like I'm just at this point going day by day with things. Both of my daughters are down in South Carolina, but I will say my youngest daughter is actually coming back this weekend. She's come back for the weekend, and so we're going to see her and her fiance. So that's good. And I'm continuing to work on restoring my gut. And the interesting thing is, research that I've been doing says that after taking antibiotics, it can take a few months to restore your gut back to where it was, depending on how bad it wrecked it. And it definitely wrecked it for me. Like, I had pain in different matter of fact, I didn't even bring this up. I should. So this month in August, I am tracking all of my food in my private health and wellness group on Facebook, right? There's other people in there. Some other people are tracking as well. And anyways, it's called Brian's, or is it called Wick? No, it's called Brian Nowicki's Health and Wellness Group. So if you see it out there, you can request to join and I can approve you. But anyway, I've been tracking everything and trying to keep myself more accountable. And even with doing that, I still kind of messed up a little bit on Sunday. Lunch was good, but then I went out with my wife. We went out to dinner. We went to a Mexican restaurant. And I had it's called choripolo, and it's so chicken with chorizo, which is Mexican sausage, and some cheese sauce on it. I had a little bit of Mexican rice though, and I had some chips and salsa. My one finger, and I'm not going to show you exactly which finger because it's the middle finger. So I don't want to make that too bad. But this finger, by the next morning, was stiff. And it was stiff. Today's Wednesday. It was stiff until sometime yesterday. So Monday and Tuesday, for like a day and a half, it was stiff. Again, I look up, I'm like, okay, that has to be oxalates because my gut got messed up and I don't have the right gut microbiome right now to feed on oxalates. So the only way my body is going to get rid of oxalates is by dumping. So it's going to find somewhere in my body and it's going to dump, and that's going to cause pain. So I'm like, okay, where did this come from? I looked up the different foods. It was the tortilla chips. They're high in oxalates. Every time I have something happen here in this last month or so since I took the antibiotic, I'm like, okay, which food was it? I look, and usually I find by looking up, I find the food, and I'm like, okay, I got to stay away from that food again now. But I should be staying away from tortilla chips anyway. And I didn't have that many, but I had some, and it was just enough. So I don't know. That's where I'm at. Hopefully I'll do better next week, and I won't have any little cheat meals like that, because that was a cheat meal. I tend not to do that too often, but sometimes I do. I do have a question here I want to answer. What area of Virginia are you in, Brian? I am near Fredericksburg, so I'm just slightly north of Fredericksburg, actually. Kind of, if you're familiar with military bases, Quantico is there. That's also the FBI schools there at Quantico and so forth. So just near, like just south of Quantico, literally when they're shooting at the range, I can hear it. Or when they're doing their other training exercises, I can hear the bombs go off. We see different military helicopters go by, stuff like that. So I'm really close to that area. That's where I'm at. It's not bad. It's like really close to it's like the very edge of Northern Virginia. It's still kind of a little trafficy, but not as bad as like going up into Fairfax County as you get closer into Washington, D.C. area. Where I'm at, it's nice. I have like an acre and a half, and like just to the right of me is more traffic, stores, that kind of stuff. And like a mile to the left, there's farms. So I'm kind of right in that good mix, of the two. Oh, let's see. Oh, Bill wants you to race Dr. Sean Baker.
That would be a business. I would love to do that, but I would, because he's my motivation. He puts up videos of him sprinting, and it looks a lot different than mine looks. But hey, I'm working on it. Give me 6 months. We'll see what happens.
Yep. Yes, us 50 guys should all be fit and active. Yep. I fit in that too. I'm 51, so a little bit younger than you two, but not by much. Bride's Biscuit had to go, I think. Enjoyed it and sub. Thank you. I love the grassroots influencers in this community. You are the salt of the earth. Yeah, we got to keep talking about carnivore diet. That's what's going to help get it to be more mainstream. Everybody keep talking about it. NCIS, yes, talking about the Quantico thing there. Okay, he's in Hampton. Okay. All right. I think that catches us up. We're over an hour and a half at this point, so we should probably call it a live stream. We'll be back next Wednesday at 8 p.m. We'll figure out our topic. We don't know it yet, but we'll get another good topic. And any last words before we go, Johnny?
No, I'd just like to thank everybody for joining us. If you happen to watch this in the replay, thank you for watching it. I'm noticing, Brian, we're getting an awful lot of replay watches. I think on the West Coast, people are still getting off work. I know out there where Christy is out in California. And it's just really cool to see that we get so many watches in the replay. Love for people to come on and be interactive with us. But it's really cool to know that, maybe 100 people or so will watch this in the replay. So we thank everybody for joining us.
Yep. Couldn't have said it better. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Johnny. We'll see you guys next Wednesday.
Okay. Take care.